We present the work on making rotation averaging fast and robust. In rotation averaging, we are given relative rotations that are estimated from pairs of images, and the goal is to compute the camera orientations. Anisotropic rotation averaging propagates pairwise uncertainties on relative rotations. The first work that was able to recover global optima used the semidefinite programming relaxation and the respective SDP solver. SDP solver is a go-to choice for SDP formulations, but it has limited scalability. So for example, for a rotation averaging problem, with increasing number of cameras, the runtime would increase a lot. Our goal was to address this. We were able to obtain a curve that looks like this. So we looked at the dedicated solvers for the isotropic case. The SDP relaxation for isotropic case looks like this. Here, important to note is that the sought matrix X, if optimal, can be factorized into rotations. And also in this problem, we don't enforce SO3 constraints on the subblocks of the matrix X. This first work proposes a block coordinate descent approach that is shown on the slide. The follow-up work proposed to keep track of the so-called effective variables in matrix R, reasoning that the optimal matrix X is factorizable into the rotation matrices. And the new approach looks like how it's shown in the slide. In the paper, however, we show that throughout the iterations, the resulting matrix X always stays within SO3N. Is that really a problem? Does not seem to be in practice. So we propose to add SO3 constraints into the problem, and it leads to a much simpler formulation. So the algorithm looks like this. Essentially, we iterate through the blocks of rotation matrix, and we update them one by one. In anisotropic case, the SDP relaxation looks like this. Here, important to note is that we substituted the data matrix with a new matrix that consists of relative rotations that are pre-multiplied with matrices encoding uncertainty. Now we also have the constraints on the sub-blocks of matrix X. Currently, no dedicated solver exists, so we propose one that integrates uncertainties and enforces SO3 constraints, results in ACD solver. The algorithm looks like this again. Here, at each iteration, we apply this operation, this closed form solution to a subproblem. So the performance is very similar as compared to the SDP relaxation, but the runtime is much lower. We also looked at robust refinement, because the previously discussed approaches assume that all the input relative rotations are inliers. Now, if you have outliers, we show that ACD could serve as a good initialization technique. In fact, it's much better than minimum spanning tree in many cases. However, standard approaches do not support uncertainties. So our second goal was to address that, and we proposed an anisotropic extension to robust refinement. Here we have robust kernel, unknown updates, current rotational residual, and we integrate uncertainty like this. So this approach improves the performance even further, and it is much more apparent on the more challenging datasets like the one below, where we know that we have a lot of outliers in the data. Here are some qualitative results.